Did you know that Vexing Bauble is a storm card? Well, it is when you combine it with Veil of Summer, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how and why. Let's go check it out. This video is proudly sponsored by Card Market. In front of you is Black Saga Storm, and well, today's highlight is really all about Vexing Bauble, and in Black Saga Storm, or Beseech Saga Storm as it's often called, the idea is that you want to get it off of Urza's Saga. That said, Vexing Bauble is a little bit odd because we're a deck that plays a bunch of 0-mana artifacts like Chrome Mox, Mox Opal, Lotus Petal, and Lion's Eye Diamond. So why would we want Vexing Bauble? Well, against control decks, you can grab a Vexing Bauble and then discard your hand to Lion's Eye Diamond and resolve Echo of Aeons. Okay, so it guarantees that you get a brand new hand, and then afterwards, you could sacrifice the Vexing Bauble to draw a card, so that way you can play your Lotus Petals or whatever else that you drew. Okay, well that is pretty nice. But the real key here is that we're a Veil of Summer deck, which means that your spells cannot be countered, even by your own permanents. So Vexing Bauble counters spells, and Veil of Summer says your spells can't be countered. It does have a line about blue and black on there that is a little bit confusing to newer players. It doesn't care what color the cards are that are trying to counter your permanents or your spells. So it just says your spells can't be countered. Chalice of the Void, Chancellor of the Annex, doesn't really matter. Your spells cannot be countered. So you're able to play your Mox Opals, your Lotus Petals, and your Lion's Eye Diamonds through Vexing Bauble, which means easy deterministic wins against blue decks, and that's what we're here for. So the idea behind this deck is we're playing Beseech the Mirror that goes and grabs guys. Well, you replay a bunch of cards from your graveyard like Dark Ritual, you cast Beseech the Mirror again, and then you Tendrils of Agony for at least 10 to win the game. So in today's video, we're playing Wishclaw Talisman, which is a little bit reminiscent of the 2020-2021 The Epic Storm list that played Echo of Aeons and Wishclaw Talisman. Props to the community that's been working on Black Saga Storm recently. I do like coming back to Wishclaw Talisman over at Orcish Bowmasters. It makes a lot of sense to me, providing a lot of consistency with Echo of Aeons, but also just finding your Tendrils of Agony more easily because you only have the one copy. So I do like the juke of Urza Saga Construct Beatdown, but really it's all about finding Vexing Bauble or Lion's Eye Diamond. In the sideboard, we have Sheoldred the Apocalypse to help beat the One Ring when you combine it with Echo of Aeons. We have Empty the Warrens to beat Veil of Summer, Helm of Obedience plus Leyline of the Void against those pesky graveyard decks, and then additional Urza Saga targets like Haywire Might to blow up Chalice of the Void or Deafening Silence, Lava Spur Boots, so that way we can play a little bit more of a fair game, and then some copies of Besiege and Abrupt Decay to blow up troublesome permanents. That's my deck tech today. This is Beseech Saga Storm. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, suggestions, whatever, put those down below. I would love to hear from you. But for now, we're going to play some Magic the Gathering, specifically Legacy. Well, let's go check out match number 1. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Round number 1, we're on the draw. I have no idea what our opponent's playing. So we do have the ability to play Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, use Wishclaw Talisman to go grab Lion's Eye Diamond, discard our hand, and then flashback Echo of Aeons. So that would be us starting the game with 5 Storm, but we lose to a Daze or a counter spell or a discard spell, and the whole goal is to just draw a new 7-card hand. We can do that with the London Mulligan without the risk. So let's just do that. Okay, we will keep this hand. I will bottom the second copy of Echo of Aeons, and I do think that this hand is a little bit better. We don't have a Lion's Eye Diamond for the Echo, but I think that this hand is just a little bit more stable. Our opponent plays a first turn Thundering Falls. All right, it looks like we're facing Sneak and Show. So we do need to be quick here. We draw Chrome Mox. That's actually not that bad. We're somewhat close to a Beseech the Mirror win. We'll pass the turn. They play Mountain, Vexing Bauble. We do have this Veil of Summer, but if they have a Spell Pierce or something, it can mean trouble. And now they play Ponder. My best draw off the top is a Mox Opal? Actually, I think it's just Dark Ritual. We'll take a draw. Our own Vexing Bauble. Okay. That doesn't really help me. I'll play the Vexing Bauble and pass. We only have 2. Our opponent does not sacrifice theirs. Misty Rainforest. Show and Tell. We don't have anything here. I guess I can put in a Lotus Petal. And they put in a Troxa. Grand Unifier. Calibrated Blast. That is spicy. They have a Force of Will, but there's a pair of Vexing Baubles on the table, so that's not going to protect them here. I just need a Dark Ritual. I would also take a Lion's Eye Diamond. We will draw. That's a Dark Ritual. I believe our opponent is dead. Veil of Summer. So this is the combination. This is the dream. Vexing Bauble, Veil of Summer. Your opponent cannot cast Force of Will or else it will be countered. And now we can just play all of our spells protected and win the game. We didn't Urza Saga into it, but we did get the combo in match 1, game 1. We'll play the Chrome Mox, imprint Echo of Aeons, Dark Ritual, and we'll now play Beseech the Mirror with Bargain, sacrifice the Chrome Mox. We will grab Gaia's Will, and we're going to hold priority and cast it. With this spell in the stack, I'm going to sacrifice the Lotus Petal for a black. We'll play the Lotus Petal, cast Dark Ritual, play the Chrome Mox, and then we will not imprint because we can't. And then finally, we'll play Beseech the Mirror, sacrificing the Chrome Mox, Storm 11, and we will select Tendrils of Agony. Target you. 24 drills. I guess it's really 12 drills, but 24 life. And that is match 1, game 1. Alright, so we're facing Sneak and Show. Do I want to sideboard? We probably want the additional copies of Thoughtseize, so let's bring in those. And I think we'll shave 2 copies of Entomb. Let's try this. So you lose a little bit of explosiveness, but you're more consistent and disruptive. And this hand is amazing. Keep. Well, actually, for some reason in my head, this was a Thoughtseize, but we'll still keep it. It's not as good as I thought, but it's still fine. First turn, Scalding Tarn, Lotus Petal, and now they're passing. Echo. So we could try to double Echo here. We'll play Urza Saga. Let's try a Chrome Mox. So you might be wondering, why not lead on a different artifact that doesn't force you to imprint? Well, the idea here is I want to be able to play around Spell Pierce, which is a card that is often seen in these decks. So now we'll play the Mox Opal, Dark Ritual, and we will play Entomb. We'll put Echo to the graveyard. We'll add a black. We'll add 3 blue. Let's flashback an Echo. So they would need double counterspell to stop us here. And it just resolved. Wow. Okay. Interesting. So I could try to Echo again. I'll play Wishclaw. Storm is 7. We're 1 mana short of Dark Ritual. Activate the Wishclaw into Tendrils of Agony. I'll play another Wishclaw Talisman. We will pass the turn. Hopefully we're not dead. End step, they fetch with the Scalding Tarn. They grab a basic. Interesting that they did not grab the Thundering Falls. I wonder if that means that it's in their hand. Sneak attack. Magus of the Moon. So our Urza Saga will die. Okay. I actually don't mind the Magus here. I think that's fine. There was scarier things that could have happened. Okay. We'll play the Bayou. We will cast Dark Ritual. And then we'll use the red from the Bayou to activate the Wishclaw. We'll go grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. Play the Diamond. We'll make 3 blue. And now we will flashback Echo, floating 2 blue and a black. If our opponent plays a Force of Will, I could activate the Wishclaw Talisman for Veil of Summer. Okay, I believe that this is a win. We'll play Chrome Mox. We'll imprint Gaia's Will. Tap the Opal for a black. We'll play Mox Opal. Now we'll play another Chrome Mox. Storm is 6. Imprint Beseech the Mirror. We'll now play a Thoughtseize. Storm 7. So this is a double protected win here. Our opponent has nothing. We'll take a Ponder. And now I can just cast Beseech the Mirror. I could also Wishclaw Talisman. Like, there's a lot of ways to skin this cat. We'll sacrifice the green Chrome Mox. Grab Tendrils of Agony. Target you. Easy peasy. That was too easy. Alright, 1-0 to start off this Legacy League with Black Saga Storm. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Match number 2, we're on the play. Okay, this seems like a pretty fair hand. It doesn't do the combo thing very quickly, but you do get to do the beatdown plan very efficiently. I kind of like that. We'll keep. We'll play Bayou, cast Thoughtseize, and they're on Reanimator. Alright, so there's no real way to stop them here. Their hand is Thoughtseize proof. If we take the Dark Ritual, they have to draw a mana. That's really the only thing we can do. And then I will play the Lion's Eye Diamond, pass the turn. They play Polluted Delta, Grief, exiling Unmask. So now we know their draw step. They take the Fel the Profane, the only legal target. We draw another Bayou, we'll play Urza's Saga, and we'll pass. They fetch with Polluted Delta. They grab a Raucous Theater, Entomb to the graveyard. They're looking for that mana. I hope they don't get it. And they drew it. They drew it, so now they can unmask themselves. They exile the Animate Dead, which was one of my small hopes here. Because if they mess up and they keep the Animate Dead, I could blow it up with the Beseiju. That is not a choice for us now. Okay, so things went their way this game. But we're still just a draw away. They're at 12. They play Grief, exiling Reanimate. We still only have lands in hand. They draw 7 more, down to 5. They play Lotus Petal, Faithless Looting, discards Grief and a land. So if we draw Infernal Tutor, we have the win. I'm sorry, not Infernal Tutor. We're not playing that today. So that's out. Wishclaw Talisman is 1 mana short. Beseech doesn't do it. So I think Echo is our best draw. Veil of Summer. Not the best here. We'll play the Bayou, because this is a little bit of wishful thinking, but it allows us to get to triple black more easily if the Veil of Summer draws into a 3rd black mana. They play Lotus Petal. Now they'll attack for 7. They'll go up to 12. We'll fall down to 11. They draw 7 more. They cast another copy of Faithless Looting, discards 2 lands, Dark Ritual, Entomb, for Archon of Cruelty. And now they'll play Animate Dead. So there's a trigger that happens here, and we can blow up the Animate Dead. I'm not sure if that's something I want to do. I'm going to cycle the Veil of Summer. It would prevent... No, they're not going to gain 3 life anyway. I guess it gives me an extra turn, assuming they don't have another Reanimate spell. So we'll blow up the Animate Dead here with the trigger on the stack. And now the Archon will not come back unless they have another Reanimate spell, like Exhume, or another Animate Dead. And they do have another Animate Dead. So they have lethal on board. I have 1 draw step here. Alright, let's see it. Vexing Bauble. Okay, we will add a colorless. So we actually get 2 draws here, because I can go grab the other Vexing Bauble and try to spike. So we'll do that. And now we'll draw a card. Wishclaw Talisman. That is the game, I believe. Vexing Bauble just too strong. We'll play Wishclaw Talisman. So you might be thinking, Bryant, you should have played the Vexing Bauble first. Yeah, you're not wrong. It just doesn't matter. Like, that's the big thing here. It just does not matter. Because against we're not facing the more popular Reanimator variant called Rescaminator that plays Force of Will. We're facing old classic Reanimator here that doesn't interact at instant speed. So it just doesn't matter at all. Tendrils of Agony, Storm 4. That's all we need. Alright, we definitely want Leyline of the Void. We want the Helm of Obedience. We might want the Shieldred. I'm not as sure about that one. We'll board out Vexing Bauble. I don't think we want Thoughtseize. And that leaves us at 62. I think you could probably board out the Song of Creation if you're bringing in Leyline Helm. And now we're at 61. So the question is, do we want Shieldred? It gives them a target to discard then reanimate, so I'm going to say no. Let's try this. We will keep. This hand is so much worse if Wishclaw Talisman is Orcish Bowmasters. I actually really like the innovation from Michael Reed, who you might know as Eureka224422, who's been doing a ton of work on this Beseech Saga Storm deck list. And Michael was the one that really pushed for the return of Wishclaw Talisman. Michael is a very good deck builder. Recently, as in a couple months ago, went on an incredible challenge top 8 tear, where he won a couple, top 8'd. It was like 6 challenges in I don't want to say in a row, but in a calendar month, which is pretty impressive. Raucous Theater puts a Bloodstained Mire to the graveyard. Bloodstained Mire or Underground Sea. Dark Ritual. Is this a hardcast Grief? Show and Tell. We'll put in Wishclaw Talisman. So now, next turn, we have Helm of Obedience. I guess I need 1 more mana to activate the Helm, though. They choose Animate Dead, Gristlebrand, Entomb, and Thoughtseize. Our hand is sort of Thoughtseize proof here, just because we have 2 Wishclaws that we don't even need, and the Leyline of the Void. The card I care most about is the Bayou. And now they'll play a Grief, exiling Entomb. They discard the other Wishclaw Talisman. Alright, any mana off the top wins. We'll take a draw. That'll do, pig. That'll do. So we'll play Bayou. Tap it for a black, cast the Dark Ritual, activate the Lion's Eye Diamond to discard our hand, we'll tap the Urza Saga, use the Wishclaw Talisman, and now we will go grab Helm of Obedience, play the Helm. I do think the Helm combo gets a lot better when you're playing Wishclaw Talisman. 2 free, and our opponent concedes the match. Alright, 2-0. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Round number 3, we're on the draw, and this hand is a hand that plays Magic the Gathering, but it's not really a hand that does anything. So you have Bayou, you have Lotus Petal, which is able to cast your Wishclaw Talisman, but you don't have Metalcraft for the Mox Opal. You're a little bit far away from Beseech the Mirror. You have Entomb for Echo Veons, but there's no Lion's Eye Diamond, and we're not even sure if our opponent's playing a blue deck. I'm going to send this back. This hand is better. We'll keep in bottom Wishclaw Talisman, Misty Rainforest, okay. They search out a basic island. Vexing Bauble, that hurts. Okay, we don't have that Veil of Summer, but we could always draw into one. Hey! Alright, we'll play Bayou, cast the Thoughtseize. Vexing Bauble in the main deck of blue decks, is this some sort of weird Sneak and Show variant? It is! Okay, so we're gonna take the Show and Tell. And it's really weird that we're facing Sneak and Show twice, because I was looking for a deck to record yesterday, and I was like, oh, I could look at Sneak and Show. And when I did, it is less than 1% of the Legacy metagame now. So facing it twice in one league is just wild. They play Brainstorm. The old combo of Vexing Bauble plus Force of Will in my hand that I cannot cast. They play Misty Rainforest. We find Echo of Aeons. I'm going to just pass here. They search out Volcanic Island, and they're going to sacrifice the Vexing Bauble to draw a card. Okay, they must be pretty close to winning then, or they just want their Force of Will. That's a 3rd mana here. Did you draw another Show and Tell? So we can probably deduce that they still have the Force of Will in hand and at least one Emrakul. Another Lotus Petal. Makes sense why they sacrificed the Vexing Bauble. The One Ring. They draw a card. They're up to 4 cards in hand now. On the end step, we'll play Entomb. We'll put an Echo to the graveyard. So I cannot kill them on my turn. It is not possible. We'll play Bayou. Let's play out a Lotus Petal in case they draw into another Vexing Bauble. And we will pass. So knowing that our opponent is on a build with the One Ring, I will bring in Shieldred. Okay, so they just drew 2 cards and now they're up to 7 in hand. They cast Brainstorm. Volcanic Island, Ponder. I believe by now it's pretty likely that they have found a second copy of Force of Will, but I'm not sure if our hand allows us to wait. Like, they're going to untap and draw 3 cards off of the One Ring. I kind of just have to try to win here. We'll play Fell the Profane, playing 3 life. And you might say, Bryant, why start on Veil of Summer here? And I kind of get it. So, like, if our opponent plays a Daze, it changes my plan for the turn. So I think you're supposed to play the Veil. They Force of Will, exiling Force of Will. I don't know what that means. So if I play Beseech here, sacking the Chrome Mox, I don't actually have anything to do. So I'm going to exile Beseech. I think I want the extra Echo in the deck. We'll flashback. Storm 4. It resolved into nothing. We're likely dead. Okay, pass. We needed a better draw 7. Our opponent goes down to 14 life. They go up to 11 cards after they activate the One Ring. They play Brainstorm. They play Scalding Tarn as a land for the turn. They activate it going to 13. They show us green. So they have Veil of Summer in their deck. That's another reason to want the Shieldred. 3 mana for a Show and Tell. We'll put in Urza Saga. Win with the Multiverse. Okay. So I could kill this Atraxa with the trigger on the stack. I just don't know if it's worth it. They selected Sneak Attack, Misty Rainforest, Brainstorm, Lotus Petal, Show and Tell. And now they discard. We draw Vexing Bauble. I guess we'll play it. That resolves. We'll play Urza Saga. And we'll pass the turn. The One Ring puts them at 10 life. Emrakul is countered. Oh no, it can't be countered. Yeah, I'm a dummy. Okay, that's the game. Okay, so things did not go our way, but there's still a couple post-board games. We'll bring in Thoughtseize. We want the Shield Red. I think that's likely it. And then we'll bring out a couple copies of Entomb. And let's board out one Vexing Bauble. I like the idea of having one off of Saga, but our opponent's also a Bauble deck. So I think we can afford to side out one here. On the play for game number 2. Yeah, this hand is incredible. Keep. We'll play Bayou. Let's play Lotus Petal, Lion's Eye Diamond, Veil of Summer, Pearl Mox. I will imprint an Echo here. I think the blue mana is worth more than an extra Echo in the deck. We'll make 3 blue. I am going to choose to leave this untapped. I could have floated black, but I don't know. This is what I did. And that's a win. Okay. Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll sacrifice for black. Beseech the Mirror with Bargain, sacrificing this Mox Opal. That is Storm 9. You know what the 10th spell of the turn is going to be? Tendrils of Agony. Alright, game 3. We will submit. Alright, game 3 on the draw. So we now have 8 protection spells in the deck that would allow a turn 1 protected win if I draw one. It's a little risky. I'm going to choose to keep. Our opponent has taken a mulligan. Alright, they kept 6. Scalding Tarn. They fetch Volcanic Island into Ponder. Sure. They did not shuffle off the Ponder. That is a Mox Opal. So we did not draw the protection spell. I am still going to go for the win here. So if our opponent has a Force of Will, they have a Force of Will. I'm not going to sweat that because we still have the ability to just draw Lion's Eye Diamond and be right back in this game. Play the Mox Opal, Beseech the Mirror with Bargain, sacrifice Mox Opal, Storm 5. And they do have Force of Will, exiling Atraxa. Okay, we will pass. Land number 2, Thoughtseize. Wish you were my draw last turn. They fetch with Misty, Tropical Island, and Brainstorm. So they wanted to keep their cards. So that means that their hand is good because they want to hide those cards on top. They had the option to Brainstorm plus fetch and turned it down. An old trick here is if our opponent shows us an Emrakul, we could shuffle their deck. Magus of the Moon and 2 lands. We'll take the Magus. They play the Misty. They have 1 unknown card. Let's suspend Guy as well. 4-turn clock. They did not fetch, so they wanted both cards. That's a show and tell. Into Atraxa! Wow! That is nuts. And they hit Force of Will blue card. I believe we're out of this game. And the One Ring. Yeah. I mean, we're probably just dead. Entomb, that does not help me. They pick up a Thundering Falls, and now they attack. We'll go to 11, and they will go up to 21. So we need 2 draws to get out of this. So I think we just lose because I need protection spell plus like Lion's Eye Diamond, and we're not getting 2 more draw steps. They play the One Ring. Well, I guess I am getting 2 draw steps. It's sort of a start. We'll play Wish Claw. If this gets countered, we're dead. Okay, and they do Force of Will. I will concede. All right, so unfortunately, we got our first match loss. We are now 2-1. You're still watching. Make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Round number 4, we're on the draw. This hand is delightful. I will keep. So you have the choice of first turn Song of Creation or first turn Beseech the Mirror. If the Song of Creation resolves, it will discard the Echo of Aeons, making a turn 2 win pretty easy. They have a first turn Bloodstained Mire. That could be a number of decks, including Rescaminator. Dark Ritual. Okay, so that means that the Beseech the Mirror is just a win, assuming that it resolves. Alright, we'll play Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, Dark Ritual, Beseech the Mirror with Bargain, sacrificing the Mox Opal. Force of Will, exiling Murktide Regent. That is fine. And an Undercity Sewers. They put Swamp to the graveyard. Wasteland on my Saga is tough here because I wanted that Urza Saga to go grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. That is not a possibility anymore. But we could just draw one. So we'll play the Diamond. That looks like an F6. Let's draw 7. Whee! So I can attempt to echo again here. Play the Chrome Mox, Entomb. They still appear to be F6'd. We'll grab Echo. Let's try to draw 7 more. Storm is 6. That resolved. So this is a win assuming my artifacts resolve here. And now they undid the F6. Lotus Petal, Chrome Mox. We'll imprint Fell the Profane. Fun fact, you cannot imprint a Witchclaw Talisman. While it is a black card, it is an artifact. And the way that Chrome Mox is worded is you are not allowed to imprint artifact cards. So it stinks, but that's how it works. And that was game number 1. Turn 2 after a turn 1 Force of Will. Not bad. They're going to Force of Will a copy. So we're facing some sort of Murktide Regent black tempo deck. We probably want the empty. Thoughtseize is good against Consign to Memory, the new stifle effect that's seeing a lot of play. I like Beseiju just because it's a pseudo Carpet of Flowers in the fact that it provides your deck with more mana. It means that you can cast Veil somewhere more easily. You're able to beat Null Rod. Like, these are all things that I like about Beseiju, and I definitely feel like I want it here. I also might want the Shield Dread. I'm less sure about that one. I'm going to board out all of the copies of Entomb. I don't think that's something we really want to mess around with in this matchup. And now I'm at 62. The question is, do I want the song still? I don't think we want the Shield Dread. I'm going to board that back out, and then we need one cut. I'll shave... It's either one Chromox or one Opal. I think it's going to be one Opal. Let's try this. This also could be a matchup for the Swiftfoot Boots if I end up losing game number 2. Unfortunately, we're not able to keep this hand. This hand is great. Keep. Bottom the Beseech. Fluted Delta. Ponder. They did not shuffle. Grief, exiling Reanimate. No! So now they can discard my Lion's Eye Diamond. Devastating. They take the Bauble. We'll play Bayou, play the Diamond. So that means that they could just have a Force of Will here. I'm going to pass. So I played the Bayou, so you might be saying, why not play Fell the Profane as a land? So am I going to Lightning Bolt myself to play around Daze? Or do I want to just play the Bayou? Like, it could get hit by Wasteland, but I'd rather not just, like, unnecessarily Lightning Bolt myself if I don't have to. Tamio. They have 2 cards remaining. And a main phase Brainstorm. This will transform the Tamio immediately. They have 2 cards left in their hand, and they uptick the Tamio. Come on, protection spell. We draw Mox Opal. So we'll play the Opal, play the Chromox. With that trigger on the stack, I will Dark Ritual. The Chromox trigger can now resolve. I will not imprint. And then I can't believe we're doing this. We're going to cast Fell the Profane, targeting the Tamio. They know that my last card in hand is Echo of Aeons. So now Grief being reanimated or animate dead doesn't really matter. They reanimate the Tamio, 2 cards left. We have 8 protection spells in our deck. There we go. Let's play Thoughtseize. So you might be saying, why not use the Bayou? Well, I'm about to lose Metalcraft. That is why. So that is, like, I would have to guess on a color to float, where if I just leave the Bayou up, I don't have to guess on the correct color here. So now the Tamio transforms. And that is our second Echo of the League, where we've kind of just drawn turds. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond here, play the Urza Saga, and we'll pass. They plus the Tamio. Grief, sure. You can see that my hand doesn't really do anything. They take Fell the Profane. No Wasteland. Okay, I like that. They pick up a 3rd copy of Underground Sea. Reanimate. So now they're at 12. They can now take the other Fell the Profane and a Psychic Frog. Veil of Summer. Doesn't really help much here. We'll grab an Urza Saga, or we'll play another Urza Saga and pass. Definitely wish I had the boots in my deck right now. Are you going to attack with the Frog? They discard a Troll, and now they're going to give the Frog flying. No blocks, we'll take 5. They get to draw a card now. They plus the Tamio again, and another Frog. On the end step, we will activate Urza Saga. Let's draw a card. So I could activate the Urza Saga now. It doesn't really matter because our opponent didn't leave open 2 mana, but like Consign to Memory allows them to counter both abilities of Urza Saga, which could be problematic. With this one on the stack, we will activate and create another construct. We'll now search. We'll go grab Vexing Bauble. I can't play the other Opal to activate. So I don't think that's actually the move I want to make here. We'll grab Lotus Petal because I want to be able to activate this other Saga. Mox Opal still on the stack. All right, it's finally resolved. Play Thoughtseize. Actually, do I want to play Thoughtseize? Let's think about this for a moment. So they could discard 3 to the Frog, give it flying next turn, so that's 5, 6, 9. I don't think that's lethal. We'll Thoughtseize. They cycle Troll of Khazad-dûm, discards. So now they only have the Underground Sea left in hand, and I'll go to 11. Yep. Swing with a Construct token, 5 damage, and we'll pass. So I can activate the Saga to make another creature here. And I think I probably should in case they draw Consign. Alright, our opponent deep in the tank. I don't think they can win. I mean, I could be wrong, but they can give their creature flying. They could return a card using Tamio for an additional +1. But it's still not 11, especially when I have 2 blockers. And they can't give the other Frog flying. I can block Grief, so I think they have to play defense unless their draw step was amazing. Our opponent finally takes an action. They discard Underground Sea to the Psychic Frog. They give the Frog flying. And now they'll attack, knowing that I cannot block. I will go to 6. And I think they're out here is drawing like a Fatal Push. And then Fatal Push, Tamiyo return the Fatal Push. And then that's their out here. They plus the Tamiyo. Oh wow, Wasteland was a good draw. That's enough for them to win here. I think like Echo or Wishclaw Talisman doesn't do it. The Wasteland, yeah. Another Saga. That doesn't win. We'll swing out. Make sure that our opponent knows how to block. No! They know how to block. That's terrible. We will cast a Veil of Summer and concede. Okay. So, we did not get there. I'm going to bring in the boots for game 3. We'll shave 1 Chrome Mox. Let's try this. On the play. Yeah, this hand is incredible. Keep. We'll lead on Bayou. Let's play Lion's Eye Diamond. And then Vexing Bauble. Force of Will on the Vexing Bauble. I'm going to Echo here. I think this is a good time. If they have a force, they have a force. Double force is quite a strong start. Alright, we draw another diamond. We'll play that. Play Chrome Mox. We'll imprint an additional copy of Beseech the Mirror. And then let's pass. You could have tried to spin the wheel on Echo again. I'm not sure if I love that, so I'd rather just pass the turn. Wasteland is their land for the turn. We'll play Beseiju and pass. No cycle of Troll of Khazad-dûm. Grief exiling Barrowglyph. They take Beseech the Mirror. And it looks like they don't have a land. Play out the Lotus Petal. Pass the turn. We are waiting on a protection spell. And our opponent is waiting on mana. We have plenty of mana, but no protection. We'll play another Lotus Petal here. So you might be saying, why do you keep on playing out these Lotus Petals? Well, if our opponent reanimates the Grief or has another Grief, these can be discarded. I might actually want to cast this Fel the Profane, which is why I'm keeping it in hand. They discard a Psychic Frog. Okay, we will pass. I could hardcast Echo here, but I feel like hardcast Echo when our opponent is stuck discarding cards isn't the best move. They discard a Barrowglyph. Okay. I don't hate the empty here. In hindsight, I wish I had the Lotus Petals, but I'm not convinced that was the right move. They play a Ponder. They do not shuffle on the Ponder. Veil of Summer. Let's play Dark Ritual. Veil of Summer. Force of Will exiling a Tamiyo. Empty the Warrens for 8 little idiots. Thank you for exiling a Tamiyo. We will pass. End step, they cycle Troll of Khazad-dûm. They pick up an Underground Sea. Brainstorm. They cycle another Troll of Khazad-dûm. For Undercity Sewers, they played the Undercity Sewers to Surveil. They kept the card on top. Wishclaw Talisman is a good one. We will attack for 8. We'll play the Wishclaw. That resolved. I still think it's a little too greedy to just jam here. I'm going to pass. They play a Ponder. They did not shuffle. Reanimate on Barrowglyph. Okay. The Barrowglyph has lifelink. They Wasteland on the Bayou. Sure. Don't care. We'll play Mox Opal. So I could attempt to Fel the Profane on the Barrowglyph. I'm not convinced that's the right move. So I'm choosing to not do that. I understand I can destroy a creature. So they're at 5 now. Let's float a green. Actually, we're going to play this as a land. I'll deal myself 3. We're going to Echo of Aeons. Storm is 2. So if they play a spell tapping this Underground Sea, they're deterministically dead to the Tendrils of Agony in my deck. That is why I did not want to Fel the Profane on the Barrowglyph. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. The Force of Will exiling a Force of Will. In response, I will activate Wishclaw Talisman. We will select Tendrils of Agony. This will be countered. Play Tendrils of Agony. Do you have a consigned to memory? They do. Alright, so they're at 2 life. I'm in a really difficult spot now because I cannot win the game without casting an Echo of Aeons. I guess I could cast a Fel the Profane and kill the Barrowglyph, but we're at least 2 cards away is my point here. They do not attack. We'll play Thoughtseize, Force of Will and a land. So if I swing, they block, they'll go to 1. Alright, let's send them to 1. So if I were them, I think last turn I probably would have attacked and returned the Psychic Frog, but they seem like they really want to play defense, but I think last turn they probably should have attacked and returned Psychic Frog with the Barrowglyph's ability. Mox Opal, that doesn't do anything for us. We have to pass. They should be attacking, but for some reason they just don't want to. Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay, that's a good one. It means that Beseech the Mirror, among other cards, is now lethal. I guess it's not lethal. I don't have a Tendrils in my deck. Well, I could once again get Fel the Profane. Never mind. They play a Brainstorm. They attack. No blocks. They cycle Troll of Khazad-dûm. Are they now realizing that they're allowed to attack? And now they can return Psychic Frog. Yep, they figured it out. Really? You just left yourself dead on board, so you have instant speed removal? Well, I just drew a Veil of Summer. Swing for 6. I don't know when the right time to play Veil of Summer is here. I don't know if it actually matters. We will play Veil of Summer, and we drew a Thoughtseize. Really needed an action spell. So they're going to take 5 back down to 1. We will pass. They attack with the Baroglyph. We'll go to 7. They hit another Orcish Bowmasters. Okay. So I might just be dead now, because, I mean, Fel the Profane is the out. Like, I can't Echo to win this game anymore. Suspending Gaia's Will? I don't think I'm going to live 4 more turns. Oh, I had Beseech into Gaia's Will. I'm an idiot. That was an out the whole time. Not anymore, because I just suspended it, but... Alright, we need to start playing defense. They flash in the Bowmasters, and there's a reason they haven't played the Psychic Frog. They likely have Force of Will in hand. There's 1 left in their deck. 3 are in the graveyard. We will block. And there's the frog. Gaia's Will. We draw Veil of Summer. We just have to pass. So Veil of Summer means that if I draw Echo, I can still win now, because Veil protects me from the Orcish Bowmaster triggers. They give the frog flying by discarding Wasteland. We'll block. They discard another land, so we'll take 2 off the frog. They discard a troll, we'll take 3 off frog. So I'm dead on board next turn. Alright, deck, you have not given me an action spell in some time. I feel like now would be a wonderful time to give me something that does something. Nope, not allowed. Ah, bummer. Okay, let's Thoughtseize and hope that they cast a blue or black spell in response. They discard Consign to Memory and a land. Okay, so we end up losing this, unfortunately. We had a lot of opportunities, but our draw steps towards the end were not great. In hindsight, knowing that I would have drawn like 8 duds in a row, Fel the Profane on the Baroglyph would have been relevant, but it took me off the game-winning line of Fel the Profane. Or of Tendrils of Agony. Our opponent happened to have Force of Will, Consign to stop that win window, but I do think that was the correct move. It just didn't work. Sometimes that happens in Magic. You can make good decisions and still lose, but we're 2-2. There's 1 match left. Let's go try to win that one. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? The final match. We're on the play. We're facing someone who plays a lot of vintage Oath of Druids. So it'll be interesting to see what they've chosen for Legacy. This hand is probably okay. You could play the Urza Saga game, you could Wishclaw Talisman for a Lion's Eye Diamond for Echo of Aeons. So the plan here is to play a turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Saga into Wishclaw. Whoops, I muted because our opponent was taking so long mulliganing that I forgot to unmute when I finally was allowed to play Magic again. So we played a first turn Swamp into Thoughtseize. Our opponent revealed all of these things. So I'm pretty sure that they're on Stifle Knot. I could be wrong. They play a main phase Dress Down. So they must have drawn the Phyrexian Dreadnought, and they did. Okay. If they drew Force of Will as one of their unknown cards, you got it. Lotus Petal. I wonder if there's a deterministic win here without playing Echo. We'll play Lotus Petal. Play Fel the Profane as a land. So I could Entomb for like a Lion's Eye Diamond, and then Wishclaw for Dark Ritual. And I think that does it. But I would lose to a Daze. But I wouldn't have to Echo. So let's just think through this one more time. Entomb for Lion's Eye Diamond. Wishclaw for Dark Ritual. And then bargain away the Saga. They have 2 unknowns in hand. I'll start with the activation of Wishclaw. Like, I lose to Force of Will no matter what. So I don't think we're supposed to care about that. You know what? I'm going to go for broke. Play Entomb. Lion's Eye Diamond. Beseech the Mirror. Sacrificing Urza Saga. We will grab Gaia's Will. Play the Gaia's Will, Storm 5. And now we can replay Lion's Eye Diamond. Lotus Petal. Sacrifice the diamond for black. Play Dark Ritual. We have enough to Thoughtseize here, so we'll do that. See what they drew. A Brainstorm. Beseech the Mirror with Bargain. Sacrificing Lotus Petal for Tendrils of Agony. Sorry about forgetting to unmute in the beginning of this, but you didn't actually miss a whole lot. Alright, so we've taken game number 1 from Stifle Knot. I can't remember if I was unmuted when I said this, but our opponent is known for playing Oath of Druids in Vintage, so I assumed that they were on some sort of like Sneak and Show style deck, and Stifle Knot sort of fits the bill. I think we'll want Abrupt Decay, we'll probably want the Besejus. I don't want to lean on Urza Saga, so I don't want Haywire Might or Lava Spur Boots. It's just really bad against the deck that plays 4 Dress Down. We'll side out Entombs, then we're at 62. I could board out one Vexing Bauble. So the whole point of Vexing Bauble is they can't play free counter magic, but our opponent's deck is full of stifles. So I think boarding out one Bauble is probably okay. And then we'll do one copy of Mox Opal. Let's try this. Our opponent has taken a mulligan, we will keep. Our hand is very close to victory. Island, pass. Lion's Eye Diamond. That doesn't do it for us here. I'll play the Bayou and pass the turn. Like, it's not a bad draw, it just doesn't allow us to do what we want. Wasteland, that was the punish. Okay. Gonna Wasteland me my upkeep? No. Alright, we'll play Chrome Mox. They must want the Wasteland for Dress Down. We'll play Thoughtseize. This way I can pay for a daze. Force of Will, Dress Down. Why did you not flash in a Dress Down here? I'll take the Dreadnought. Pass the turn. And now they don't flash in the Dress Down. They play the Flooded Strand. They must value the blue card more highly. We will pass. Our opponent has double Force of Will. Abrupt Decay. Thoughtseize. Play out a Lotus Petal. I'm going to hold the Thoughtseize for now, I think. I'd rather save it for a window to try to punch through, rather than them just hiding something with a Brainstorm. We will float a green. Alright, so Wasteland destroyed our land. Now they're trying to do something in the second main phase. They grab another island. Null Rod. Alright, so I do have to burn the Lotus Petal here, which is why they played why they used the Wasteland. Can't counter this. Null Rod, what a joke. Vexing Bauble. Okay. Let's play Lion's Eye Diamond. Mox Opal. Let's try to Thoughtseize them. They have two Stifles, Ponder, and Force. Okay. I was hoping that it would show up here. I was too slow to do it. So they have Consign, Stifle, Ponder, Force, Dress Down. And the Bauble resolves. We will pass. Urza Saga. We'll play Saga. They still have Dress Down in hand, so making constructs isn't really that useful. They drew a Brainstorm. They play an island. Okay. Interesting that they allowed me to have the Bauble, because it is going to create a window at some point. They're back up to 7 cards. We might as well make one construct, because we're not doing anything else with our mana. And this might draw out the Dress Down. I'm not going to bother making another construct. One is fine. We'll grab another Lion's Eye Diamond. Let's go to combat. Attack for 6. Now they can flash in a Dress Down, and they will. The construct token goes away. Ancient Tomb. Null Drifter. Alright, so they get a 4/4 Annihilator 1 that will not sacrifice because of the Dress Down. Parallax Tide, that's spicy. Dark Ritual, so that allows me to play Beseech the Mirror. Alright, so we will Dark Ritual. We should not bargain. It's just put the card to your hand. So we're playing Diabolic Tutor. We'll put Echo of Aeons to our hand, and now we'll add 3 blue and 3 black. So you might be saying, why not play out your artifacts? Well, we have a Vexing Bauble in play. Well, why wouldn't you get rid of your Vexing Bauble? Our opponent has a Force of Will in their hand. So this is the best line we have available. Storm is 3. Okay. I can kill the Null Drifter. That might just be the move. Pass the turn. Multiple times this league, we have cast Fell the Profane. They play Ponder. Alright, another land. They have 5 mana open, so they could hardcast a Force of Will. Urza Saga, not a bad draw. We'll play it. Pass the turn. They have Wasteland. We'll play Bayou, pass. I mean, we're not really in a rush here. They play Brainstorm, Misty Rainforest, and now they go to 10. We find an Echo of Aeons. Okay. I think we should just pass. They play Ponder. Null Rod is back. So I could Beseech the Null Rod. I don't want it, like, they've been cantripping. They probably have a stifle effect. I'm just not sure if I should do this right now or if I should wait for a window. And now they have a Wasteland. So it's now or never. Attempt to destroy Null Rod. Okay, Null Rod is destroyed. Gaia's Will. We can suspend it. Let's just pass. Me playing Wishclaw Talisman in a daze does not feel very smart. They tap the Ancient Tomb again for evoking a Null Drifter. So they don't have Force of Will up at the moment. It's just something to remember. Are you going to stifle the evoke? They can sign to memory. I would love a Veil of Summer right now. They discard Force of Will. 7 cards in their hand. We did not draw a Veil of Summer. We'll play Fell the Profane as a land. Gonna feel real bad if this gets dazed, but hardcast Beseech the Mirror. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I knew there was a possibility, but we need to find Veil of Summer, and our deck is our draw 7s have not been that good throughout the league, despite having Wishclaw Talisman. And sometimes you just get bad variants, like that happens. We'll sacrifice Fell the Profane, or Felmire, the name of the land. They play a dress down to 4 life, and a Phyrexian Dreadnought, so they're telling me I need to win now. Okay. They have 6 cards in hand too. We draw a Dark Ritual. We'll float a green. Let's draw a card using the Vexing Bauble. No protection. Okay, we'll play Lotus Petal. Dark Ritual. Play Wishclaw Talisman. We will activate the Wishclaw against the deck full of Stifles. Okay, we'll grab Tendrils of Agony. Why not? Mox Opal. We'll play Chrome Mox. Our only hope is that they don't have a Stifle. And now we'll just play Tendrils of Agony. Alright, Storm Trigger. Oh no, they had a Stifle effect. That's so crazy. Alright, next game. What to do? I'm going to try resubmitting. Actually, maybe we want the Entombs and you're supposed to board out the Wishclaws in this matchup. Let's try that. I think this actually makes more sense because you don't have to worry about Stifle on the Wishclaw. And if you're doing that, okay, Shield Dread makes sense. Maybe not against the Dress Down deck, but it does allow you to beat Stifle. This hand is so close. I'm going to keep it. It might be a terrible idea, but I'm going to keep it. Urza Saga, pass the turn. They have a Polluted Delta for a basic island, Ponder. Ponder's still on the stack. We draw Thoughtseize. I mean, that's good. We'll play Lotus Petal. Let's play the Chromox. We'll imprint Abrupt Decay. I mean, in theory, I could Thoughtseize myself and then discard the Echo that way, but I don't think that's a great idea. We'll Thoughtseize them. No Wasteland. I think I need to take the Consign to Memory here because I can't have them countering the Urza Saga trigger. Yeah, it has to be the Consign to Memory. Ugh, they left Wasteland on top. Yep. Veil of Summer, we have to pass. I mean, Veil wasn't a bad draw, it's just not what I needed. Lion's Eye Diamond is by far our best draw here. We'll play Fel the Profane as a land. End step, they play the Brainstorm. Ancient Tomb, so they did not fetch. They wanted one of those cards. And they found the Null Rod. That's probably lights out for us. Not loving this. Okay, well I guess if I draw a green land, we have 3 Bayous in the deck, and then 2 more Beseiju, so 5 hits. And our opponent needs to not have Stifle. There's a Phyrexian Dreadnought. Lotus Petal is a spell that does not make mana. So I think we're just dead, because even if I draw the land, I'd have to kill the Phyrexian Dreadnought now, and for it to work. So the Null Rod would stay on the table. Yeah, we just got smushed. Okay, so despite starting off this league very hot, we cooled down. What are my thoughts? I liked Wishclaw Talisman over Orcish Bowmasters. I thought that was great. The Vexing Bauble plus Veil of Summer synergy was nice. But against the Stifle deck, it just wasn't ideal. Unfortunately, we faced a Stifle Knot deck. Facing Sneak and Show twice is a little weird. As I mentioned earlier in the video, it's less than 1% of the metagame, but we just happened to face it twice. Our other loss was the best deck in the format, Rescaminator, and that was a close match. Like, there was a chance that I should have played the Fel the Profane, but I'm not even sure if it was correct. It just would have worked. It might have been better given the circumstance of how the next like 8.5 turns went. It was an interesting league. I'm not sure if I love the sideboard, but I'm not even sure if like the Helm combo felt good. Shield Dread might not be necessary, but like you want a way to beat the One Ring. So that is how Shield Dread is relevant. It didn't feel good in most of the other matchups where it used to be very good. And I think that's because with your opponents being blue-black, they have Fatal Pushes and Psychic Frogs that sort of outclass Shield Dread these days. Empty didn't get the job done. I think Empty is trending down in general, especially if blue decks are playing Tamiyo. I think that this card is a little risky. I'm not the expert. 2-3 is a little disappointing, but this deck is very powerful. Do I like it more than the Epic Storm? No, but I'm biased. I love the Epic Storm, and the Epic Storm offers so many tools via Burning Wish and whatever, but I do think that this deck is a viable choice if you're interested in Storm combo decks. That's what I've got for today. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, keep storming. Hey, I appreciate you watching today's video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. Additionally, check out Card Market, Europe's leading card single retailer, where you can buy singles for your deck like, I don't know, the Epic Storm. Anyway, once again, thank you for watching. See ya!